Welcome to the session on Introduction to AI and Cognitive Services for Developers and Information Workers. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, depending on your time zone. My name is Prashant Bhoyar. I was born and raised in India, came to United States in 2007 for studies. I am University of Maryland College Park alumni. I co-authored a book, PowerShell for Office 65. I also acted as a technical reviewer for the book Pro SharePoint 2013 Administration. I am from Washington, D.C. area, and we organize a lot of community conferences. So if you are interested, definitely check us out on meetup.com. I am recipient of Antarctic Service Medal, and since 2017, I'm recipient of Microsoft MVP Award. So those of you who are not familiar with this award, I don't work for Microsoft. It's just the additional recognition that Microsoft gives out to the folks who does technical contributions in various areas. And this award is only valid for 1 year. And after 1 year, you have to again reapply and submit your contributions. And if your contributions are good enough, then you get awarded for additional 1 year. Currently, as Simon mentioned, I recently changed job. So I'm right now working as Cloud Solution Architect at AIS. And I focus on business process automation, and I work at AIS Reston headquarters, which is very close to the Washington, D.C. Okay. So this is going to be the agenda. This is going to be introductory session or 100-level session. I will talk about maybe for a minute approach, then what is AI, what is machine learning, what are cognitive services, how to get started, demos, key takeaways, and Q&A. Feel free to ask your questions in the live stream. I am using 2 monitors, and Simon is also here to help me with the questions. So the approach that we're going to take in this session is geared towards non-data scientists. That means the target audience is developers, IT pros, and power users. So whenever we talk about AI, it's very, very important to level set the expectation because the first thing most of the people think about whenever we mention AI is a sci-fi movies or machine taking over another planets or machine invading another planets. So this is the definition of AI I got from Google's AI researcher. AI is nothing but an effort to automate intellectual tasks normally performed by humans. Now, it's very important to understand where we are in our AI journey. So we can categorize AI into 3 categories. One is a strong AI, where machines are so powerful, they can invade other planets, they can destroy other planets, they can travel across galaxy. Now, strong AI right now only exists in sci-fi movies and novels. Then there is a second category called artificial general intelligence, where machines are very, very intelligent and they can perform very complex tasks. One of the example is, if you have seen Marvel Comics Iron Man franchise, in that we have a main character called Tony Stark. And Tony Stark has a personal assistant called Jarvis. Now, Jarvis is very intelligent. He can perform very, very complicated tasks, and that is part of AGI. Again, AGI exists only in novels and sci-fi movies. Where we are right now is we are at weak AI, where we have specialized services for specialized tasks. Now, one of the service that I would like to show you is that I forgot to start. Give me a minute. Always use subtitles. All right. And let me start this. Okay, looks like I have to do some configuration, but okay, perfect, it's there. So I just turn on the live subtitles for my talk, and I am talking in English, and the subtitles are getting displayed in English as well. But let me go ahead and quickly change the language here, since many of you may be coming from like watching this from India. So I'm quickly going to change the subtitle settings to Hindi and quickly start this again. And let's see if the subtitles come back again or not. So you can see here the subtitles are getting displayed live in Hindi. I'm speaking in English, and the Microsoft's AI is translating that speech in English into the Hindi. And you can see that most of the words are pretty accurate. Let me go back and change this to the English again. So the point I'm making here is, right now, we are at weak AI, and we have specialized services for specialized tasks. And one of the services that you're seeing right now is on the screen, where I'm speaking in, it is basically speech to text, and it doesn't matter what language I'm speaking, as long as that language is supported, you can see the output text on the screen. Now, this is the mission statement from Microsoft. They would like to make data science and AI accessible to everyone, and it doesn't matter what your role is and what kind of device you're using or where you are located. And some of the offerings and services that are coming from Microsoft is actually aligns really well with this mission statement. So if you're totally new in your AI journey, and if you would like to get started with your AI offerings in Microsoft, then these are the three main offerings you will find. And majority of the AI offerings in Microsoft ecosystem are part of AI. So AI, Azure AI is the core of Microsoft AI offerings. Under AI apps and agents, we have Azure Bot Service and Azure Cognitive Services. Under knowledge mining, we have Azure Cognitive Search. Under machine learning, we have Azure Databricks, Azure Machine Learning, and Azure AI Infrastructure. And you may have heard about some other AI offerings from Power Platform Group or from Microsoft 365 Group, but behind the scene, they all use this Azure AI. And these are some of the links you can follow if you would like to get started with majority of the AI services in Microsoft ecosystem. Now, if you are like me, like I started playing with Microsoft AI services 4 or 5 years before, but I was totally new to this and I didn't know where to start. So you can follow this flowchart. This flowchart explains like what kind of products or features are more applicable to you, is depending on what you would like to do. So if you would like to build your own machine learning models, and to build the machine learning models, you need to have the background in statistics and data science, then Azure Machine Learning is for you. If you are just would like to consume the pre-trained model, then Azure Cognitive Service and bots are for you. I fall into the second category where I don't have a lot of background in data science or in stats. So I lean more towards cognitive services and bots where the models are already pre-trained. I just have to use them and add intelligence to my application. So let's talk about the bots. If you would like to implement bots in Microsoft ecosystem, you have two options available. One is platform as a service, where we have Microsoft Bot Framework. Second is software as a service, where we have Power Virtual Agents. So Microsoft Bot Framework is open source, and right now you can use C#, Node.js, Java, and Python to build your custom bots. However, if you are planning to deploy your bots using Azure Bot Service, then only supported language right now are C# and Node.js. And Power Virtual Agents gives you a no-code experience for bot development. And it's ideal for business users and domain experts to easily build a bot. You can have a working bot within 30 minutes. It's so easy to use Power Virtual Agents. And behind the scene, Power Virtual Agents uses Microsoft Bot Framework, but you as a developer of the bot or you as a creator of the bot doesn't have to worry about any kind of custom code. Everything happens in the backend for you. There is another offering for Teams, and you may be wondering why I'm talking about an offering for Microsoft Teams in the session for AI. And there is a reason for it. So recently, Microsoft announced an offering called Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. It's a low-code data platform for Microsoft Teams. It supports build a low-code, no-code apps, flows, and most importantly, chatbots using Power Virtual Agents that can work within the Teams. The license for it is already included in most of the existing Teams licenses. That's why if you really want to get started with Power Virtual Agents, and if you already have a license for Teams, that may be your really good segue to just go into the Teams client and add the app for Power Virtual Agent and start creating the bots over there. And you can find more information by going to this particular link. Now let's talk about what is machine learning. As I mentioned in the beginning, this session is not for data scientists. Still, I want to spend a couple of minutes to talk about machine learning. The reason is it's important to understand the concept of it. So in machine learning, what we basically do is we examine large amount of data and using the machine learning algorithm of our choice, we would like to find the pattern that exists in that a large amount of data. And once we find the pattern, then we generate a model from it. And once we have a model, then we integrate that with our custom app to create a smarter application. So if you had to visualize this via flowchart, so you will have a data like unstructured data. However, that data will contain some kind of patterns in it. Then you will use machine learning algorithm of your choice. And that algorithm of your choice will help you to find the patterns. And then using that, you will generate your model. And your model will help you to recognize the pattern in the new set of data. And then you will integrate your model into your application. And to your application, then you feed the new set of data so you can make a better prediction and create smarter application. So one thing you have to keep in mind is no matter how good of your model is, you still need to integrate that with your custom application to make an intelligent app. So the point here is you will always need the combination of a data scientist or machine learning engineers and the developers to make a meaningful application. And if you would like to go deep into machine learning, these are some of the popular algorithms that you can use. And this is the cheat sheet you can follow from Microsoft documentation, which gives you more information about the individual machine learning algorithms. Now, if you are like me, who's more interested in the applied AI part of Microsoft offerings, then the cognitive services are for you. Cognitive services are nothing but a pre-trained model, which are available to us as in the form of a REST API. So it's very easy to use. As long as you know how to use REST API, you can use cognitive services and infuse intelligence in your application. They are flexible. So you can use any language of your choice as long as that language supports consumption of REST-based API. That means you're no longer restricted to use only Microsoft ecosystem stack. You can use Node.js, you can use Python, you can use iOS ecosystem, you can be a Linux shop as well. And the pre-trained model that Microsoft has used for cognitive services are actually part of Microsoft research. They are tested really well, and there is a really good documentation available. If you have any issues, you can post those on Stack Overflow, and Microsoft is paying people to monitor those and provide you the answers. So if cognitive services are nothing but the REST-based API, where can we use them? So you can use them in any application that can consume REST-based API. So if you are a developer, you can use it in JavaScript application, console application, .NET application, Java-based application, iOS application, Node.js, Logic apps. If you are not a developer, still you can use cognitive services and infuse intelligence in your application using the products like Microsoft Flow, SharePoint Desire 2013. It's a deprecated product. I don't recommend using it. However, if you're still using SharePoint on-premise, and that's the only option you have to create workflows, then in the new 2013 designer, you can create 2013 style workflows where you can call the REST-based API, and there you can use cognitive services. You can use that with third-party products like RPA is a latest buzzword in the industry, and there are a lot of big players in the RPA ecosystem. Microsoft is offering via WinAutomate. There is a UiPath, Blue Prism. So you can use the cognitive services with these RPA tools, and you can also use cognitive services with other automation tools or workflow tools, as long as those tools supports the consumption of REST-based APIs. So what are some of the practical applications we can build using cognitive services? Is like if you have a big set of data on the training that your employees has or your team members have received, then you can build a model that can give you a recommendation on the training needs, so the organization can be better prepared in terms of the resourcing and also in terms of the timeline. We can also use that for process improvement as well. I know a few ISVs in Microsoft ecosystem are using the machine learning models to better predict the process improvement. For example, if you have a long running process and if you have a good historical data set of that, then you can use machine learning model of your choice that can give you a recommendation whether, hey, you need to tweak your process. This particular step number 2 to 3 is taking too much time. Maybe it's time to evaluate that and see whether you would like to break that or whether you just like to completely get rid of that. We can use, there are a lot of practical applications using the text analysis, and we will be focusing in today's demo more on text analytics. So we can use text analytics for product reviews. We can use that for document classification or case classification. Now, majority of the organization has large file shares or large document repositories. And typically those document repositories or file share are not really well organized, or they are not categorized properly or tagged properly. So you can use text analytics API to do that automatically for you. We can use for social media analytics, intellectual property, plagiarism check, and sentiment analysis as well. So with that, let's quickly jump into the demo of cognitive services. So for that, what I'll be doing is I'll be quickly opening up my browser, and let me resize this so that the text subtitles are also visible. And use your favorite browser and use your favorite search engine and quickly search for Microsoft Cognitive Services. And the link that we're looking for is this one. So quickly go to this link and scroll down. On this link, you'll find the description about what are Microsoft Cognitive Services. And one thing you have to keep in mind is Cognitive Services are a part of Azure. So to use Cognitive Services, you need a valid Azure subscription. So if you scroll down here towards the middle section of the page, you will see that Cognitive Services are categorized into 4 categories. One is decision, language, speech, and vision. And by default, decision is selected. And under decision, we have anomaly editor, content moderator, and personalizer. And if I select language, then under language, you have language understanding, Q&A maker, text analytics, and translator. Under speech, I have speech to text, text to speech, speech translation, speaker recognition, which is under preview. And under vision, I have computer vision, custom vision, and face API. So if you are interested in exploring any of these service, just click on that service page. In this case, we'll be using text analytics. And once you open that page, then here you will be seeing some information about that particular service. And if you scroll down, and if you're lucky, or not lucky, sorry, if you scroll down, some of the services pages has some sample application that we can play with. Here, we cannot play with this application, but Microsoft has given us an application to give us insights like how the service actually works. So on the left-hand side, we have this box, and in that box has some text in it. And this text has been sent to the text analytics API, and whatever the response came back, that response has arranged in a proper format into this particular box in the right-hand section, where it is giving us what kind of language this text is written, what are some of the key phrases, and what are some of the sentiments for the sentences, and what are some of the name entities, PI entities, and link entities. And if you're a developer and if you would like to know in what format the response came back from the text analytics API, just click on the JSON tab, and this will give you information on in what format the response came back from the text analytics API. And now let's say if you like what you saw and you would like to play with this text analytics API, you can scroll down, and there is a lot of documentation available here, some code samples, some examples of using the Power Automate. And these are some of the companies that are using this cognitive services. So as I mentioned, to use text analytics API or any other cognitive service, you need a valid Azure subscription. So first thing we'll be doing is we'll be going into our Azure portal and quickly spin up the text analytics service. So go to the Azure portal there and click on create a resource. And the thing we are looking for is the text analytics. Now, when it comes to creating the cognitive services service, you can either create individual service, individual API service, or you can create a single one called cognitive service. And inside that, you can have multiple services. For example, if I click on this cognitive service, within the same service, I can have the API, text analytics API, the vision, and other stuff. However, if you are playing this for the first time, I recommend you to create the individual service. So in this case, it's text analytics. Click on that and then click create. And here we have to select what kind of subscription we would like to use, and then what kind of resource group that we would like to use, and then the region. Now, make sure whenever you're creating a cognitive service, the region that you're selecting plays a very important role, because depending on the region, the response that you get or the results that you get may vary. And also, it's always a good practice that if your majority of the users are going to be in a particular region, make sure while creating a resource, it's in the similar location. So I'm in the United States I'm in the East Coast of United States, so I'm going to use US East Coast. Then just give it a name like Cloud Summit 2021. And with each service comes a free tier. So if you are playing with any service for the first time, just go with the free tier. That way you won't get charged for anything. However, there is one caveat you can create a free tier once per subscription. So if someone has already created a free tier of a service in your subscription, then you cannot do that. It's only allowed once. Select that and just click review and create. And once you create that, you will basically get redirected to the page like this, where your service will be created. Now, once the service is created, click on the overview here. And here you will see the information about your service, what's the location, whether it's active or not, the pricing tier, the endpoint. So quickly note down this endpoint URL because we will need that to construct our API calls. Then in the left-hand navigation, click on keys and endpoint and copy the key. So make sure you're not sharing your key with anyone, because if I know your endpoint and if I know your key, then I can make calls on your behalf and you will basically getting charged for it. So that's why it's very, very important that you are not uploading your keys anywhere, or if you're not, uploading, like adding your keys into your public repository so that everyone will have access to it. Now, one of the good things that I really like about Azure, whenever you create a new resource in Azure, always in the left-hand navigation, look for the option called Quick Start. So if you click on a Quick Start, majority of the services or app will give you some introductory information. For example, here, if you would like to see how to use this text analytics API in the C# or in Python or Node.js, these are like various samples available to you. So this way you can find always the latest and greatest information, because whenever you search for something, the results that you get may not be relevant anymore because things change so fast. So I always recommend people to, especially if you're starting anything new in Azure, go to Quick Start and click on these links, because then Microsoft will make sure these links are accurate and also the steps that you will be following are accurate. So now we'll be going back to the first demo, where what I have done is I have used this Cognitive Services Text Analytics API and created an application without writing a single line of code. So for this, what I have used is I use a simple SharePoint a list where I'll be providing a feedback. Let's call it as a Cloud Summit 2021. Let's give a kudos to Simon and C# team is doing amazing job. And right now I'll be keeping the sentiment score, language, and key phrases as blank. Let me go ahead and save this. And there are some flows which are running in the backend, which will basically make the call to the text analytics API. And once the response come back, they will update that in this particular column. So while we are waiting for it, let's go back to the deck and let me show you a few things. So Text Analytics API help us to analyze unstructured text. Couple of things we can do is we can do language extract detection, key phrase extraction, sentiment analysis. And if you're a dev, then this is how your endpoint URL will be. The first thing will be your URL of your service. Then after that, /text/analytics/version, which is 3.0. And then if you would like to extract key phrases, then after that /key phrases. If you would like to extract language, then after that languages. If you would like to extract sentiment, then after that you have to add sentiment. And if you would like to get entities, then this is the URL that you had to make. So let's go back now here and quickly. So you see that the sentiment score came back and the key phrase came back. Now let's go ahead and quickly see how this has been implemented. So here I have a flow. Again, if you are not familiar with flow, it's okay. If you are familiar with Logic App, the flows work very similar to Logic App, where you have to have a trigger. And once the trigger condition is met, then you can have a series of steps that will get executed. So here I have a trigger that whenever a new feedback is submitted, start the flow. And then we are using that action, which is out of the box action available in Flow called key phrases. And here we are providing the text value of it is what text that we would like to send to this. And whatever the response come back from this key phrases action, we are using that output and updating the back that to the existing feedback that we submitted. Now, how we will make connection from this particular key phrases action to our cognitive services? If you click on these three dots, and if you click on this add a new connection, so here you can give it a name. Let's call it as a Cloud Summit 2021. Here you can give the key. I'm not going to paste my key here because I don't want to share that. And here we'll be pasting the URL, which is going to be this one. And this URL we will get from our Azure portal. So if you can always go back to the keys and endpoint, and you can copy this endpoint URL, and then you go back here, paste that, and then here you paste that your key, and then you will start create, and then that way, whenever the flow will run, it will first make sure the connection entries that you have mentioned are valid, and then if it's valid, then it will execute this. Similarly, for detecting the language, we have used the same concept where the flow will start whenever a new item is created, and it will detect. Then the action we are using is detect language, and we can add the connection to our cognitive service by going here and click add a new connection. And once the language information came back, we're just updating that back to the SharePoint list. So this was a quick and easy implementation of cognitive services, especially text analytics, without writing a single line of code. Now, if you're a hardcore dev, then you can do like pretty amazing things using the cognitive services. So this sample I'm showing you here is written using C#.NET. And the source code you can find on my GitHub profile. It's very simple implementation. What I have done is I have two Word documents on my file system. One has this text, the second one has this text and image. And using the cognitive services text analytics API, we will be quickly analyzing the information about that, like what language those documents are written, what are some of the key phrases in it, and also oops, looks like I have these documents open. Let me close this. Sorry about that. And let me stop it and start the debugger again. Okay. And because of the time limitation, I'm going through this real quick. But if you go to my GitHub sample, you will find information about this in more detail. Okay, so these are the things that got displayed on the screen here. So as you can see, the first thing we got sentiment value here. Then we got the key phrases. And here we got the language value. So if you can see here, for the first document, the language came back as EN. EN stands for English, and the confidence score came as 0.92. For the second document, the language came as EN again, and the confidence score was 97. Regarding the key phrases for the first document, the key phrases were cognitive services, Microsoft AI, and the second document was some bunch of text that was there in the document. So this was a quick and easy way to consume the text analytics API. Now, one of the key things you have to keep in mind is text analytics API or in all the cognitive services use pre-trained model. That means the model that Microsoft has created, you don't have any control over it. Microsoft has prepared those models, and they have used the test data to prepare that. However, if these services are not giving you the response or the result that you're looking for, you can always build your own custom model. And the service for that is Azure Machine Learning. I'm not going to go any deep in it, but this is a really good service where data scientists can go and create a custom model. And one of the advantage of using Azure Machine Learning is once your model is ready, you can deploy that as a web service, so that then developers can then use that web service and start infusing intelligence in your application. If you are really interested getting your hands dirty, especially with Power Virtual Agent, I recommend you to go to this particular link and sign up for Microsoft 365 Developer Program. Once you go to this link and sign up, you can get your personal Microsoft 365 tenant for free. It is valid for 90 days. It comes with 25 users, and it comes with the highest level of licensing that is available, which is E5. And let's say if you are using this tenant for personal training and development, after 90 days, Microsoft will automatically renew your subscription, and they will keep on doing it as long as this program is active and you are using this tenant for personal training and development. So it's a really good way to get your own tenant. You will be a domain admin, and you can play with a lot of services that are there in Microsoft 365, including Teams, SharePoint, Power Platform, Power Virtual Agent, Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate. We can always sign up for the free trial as well. However, when you sign up for free trial, you have to use your credit card. Now, to use cognitive services, you need access to Azure, and there are multiple ways where you can get Azure subscription. My personal recommendation is for if you want to get Azure subscription for your self training and development, then get that via MSDN. If you don't have access to MSDN, you can always sign up for free trial. However, you need to use a credit card. If you're still going to school, there is a really good program available from Microsoft called Azure for Students. And using this program, you can get some credits, and the credit depends on your country. However, it's a good way to get your personal tenant Azure subscription without using a credit card. So hopefully the content we covered today made you explore cognitive services and Azure machine learning. And these are the links. With that, we come to the end of the talk. And these are my contact details. If you have any questions in future, feel free to connect with me. I'm available on LinkedIn, Twitter, and my email address is mentioned here as well. With that, thank you, Manish, for joining us today. And let me know if you have any questions.